Here we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another session of Sippin Ground Coffee. My name's Dan Painter, and I'll be hosting today's live stream along with the assistance of Renee and Derek. We're going to get through this with a new topic today called the self-manufactured Flint Walling control boxes. Before we get to that, just a few housekeeping things. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your YouTube channel. Hit that little bell. That's going to let you or give you notifications every time we do one of these live broadcasts. So make sure you hit that bell. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on LinkedIn. Go to our website too if you haven't done this, and sign up for our newsletter. We send a newsletter out periodically. It's a way of allowing Flint Walling as a manufacturer to communicate to both our distributors and contractors as to what's all going on up here. The last thing I would say then before we get started on today's topic is there'll be a code word today. And when I give you that code word, jot it down somewhere, write it down, because if you collect 3 of these code words and email them up to Flint Walling, and that email address is marketing@flintandwalling.com, go ahead and email those 3 code words in, and you are going to get these are awesome. It's a tour and training t-shirt that we give out to all the people that come up over the fall, winter months for factory tours. A nice looking shirt, and other Flint Walling swag as well. So anyway, don't hesitate to send that email in to us. All right. So with that, we're going to get started on today's topic, which is the F&W self-manufactured control boxes. When submersible pumps were first introduced, and then we can go all the way back into the 50s, all right, in the 1950s, when submersible pumps were first introduced, they were all 3-wire pumps, all 3-wire submersible pumps, meaning they had a 3-wire motor, and you would have to wire a control box in order for that system to function, all right, for that system to function. And over the years, that's changed, obviously. Today, we have both the 2-wire motors and the 3-wire motors. It's only the 3 wires that require the control boxes. And I used to say, I guess my experience has been over the years that as you go west of the Mississippi, all right, as you go west of the Mississippi, what you're going to find is you're going to find more and more submersible pump installations that are going to be 3-wire, and they'll use this control box here. As you go east of the Mississippi, it's just the opposite. It's 2-wire. So irrespective of whether you find yourself sitting in a quote-unquote 2-wire market or a 3-wire market, as far as today's topic goes, anytime you get above, let's say, 2 horsepower, all right, you're going to be in a 3-wire pump. So control boxes are going to come into play at that point. So what I'd like to do is just kind of give you an introduction to these F&W boxes. These were we went under the design and development stages back in the time, early 2000s, when we were in the design and development stages for our submersible pump motor. And when we went into our, believe it or not, 7-year field test, these control boxes were right along with that. So these boxes have been thoroughly tested, field tested for 7 years. So we're going to break these boxes down into 2 categories, all right? The first one we're going to start off with, we're just going to talk about these standard boxes to begin with. And this is the offering that Flint Walling will have. When we're talking about a standard box, we're simply referring to this typically fractional horsepower control box here. But if you look up on the screen, you've got a couple choices with your half horsepower, right? You can get that either in 115 or 230 volt. It ends there, but with that half horsepower, you've got 2 choices for a control box. The 3/4, the horse, and the 1.5 will all be 230 volt boxes, all right? So right there, when we look at the fractionals, that's pretty much the family of offering for the control boxes. The second category, and we'll come back to this later, but the second category is what we're going to call the deluxe control boxes, all right? And those are going to be available in your 2, 3, and 5 horsepower configurations. So therein lies the offering for Flint Walling self-manufactured control boxes. And when I say self-manufactured, when you come and take a tour here at Flint Walling, you're not going to see these boxes being manufactured here in this facility. However, the outfit that manufactures these control boxes and controls are part of our division. It's a family-owned business, and the outfit is owned by the corporate Zoller Company, and so therefore it's one of our own companies. So we're making that for ourselves. But those two categories, right? Those two categories kind of fill out the line. So I'm going to go through the standard box first. All right, the standard box first. And just look at, I just want to make you aware of just, some of the features of this thing. I'll tell you one thing, you see that little screw down here at the bottom? When we first introduced these boxes, this is a little side note story, but when we first introduced our Flint Walling control boxes, I can recall being out in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm showing this box to a contractor. And he looks at me and he says, that little screw down there, that cover screw down there. I said, yes, sir. He said, will it fit my nut driver? I said, I don't know. He pulls his nut driver out. He puts it on this cover screw and it wouldn't fit. And that guy looked at me and he said, I'll tell you what, you got a nice box there. I'll give you that much. But I only carry around one nut driver, and that nut driver fits everybody else's cover screw, all right, except yours. So at such time you all want to change that cover screw up front so that it's uniform and it's equal to everybody else's, come back and see me, because I think we would probably have something to talk about. That's what he said. So even just little things like that, you've got to keep in mind that when you're out and you're in a crawl space and you've got a screwdriver in one, or a nut driver in one hand and a flashlight in another, and you find out your nut driver doesn't fit that cover screw, not a very good experience. So today that's all changed, obviously. That cover screw's industry standard, so that guy's nut driver will in fact fit it, right? Will in fact fit it. All right, so when we look at these boxes here, these standard boxes, these are going to be NEMA 3R, meaning they're designed for both indoor and outdoor applications. These are powder-coated shells, right? So powder coat is going to resist, as you can see on the screen, it's going to resist a lot of chipping and fading, those kind of things. And especially along our coastal areas where, sometimes we can get into a saltwater atmosphere. We don't want these boxes sitting up and corroding away in those kind of situations. So powder-coated. They're all going to be CSA listed or CSA rated, and I'm just going to read this, and I'm only going to read it the one time, but CSA certification indicates the product, processes, or the service has been tested and meets requirements. Unlike the UL, CSA holds its value all around the world and not just in the country of origin. And so therefore, all of our pumps and all of our controls and motors are going to be CSA listed. These boxes are fully interchangeable, and that's key because, I'm just going to stop here for another little sidebar story. We talked about two-wire motors earlier. When the industry went to two-wire motors, this control box went away. It completely went away, and what replaced it? I don't know how well you can see this, but it's this little device here, all right? Now, there are other pump manufacturers out there that will start a two-wire motor with a permanent, what's called a permanent split capacitor. Others will start it with like a two-wire switch. And yet, there's others like us that we use this little patented electronic start circuit in ours. But what I'm telling you in all these, whether it's a switch, whether it's a start circuit, or whether it's a permanent split capacitor, this is in fact what replaces that control valve or control box. And all this stuff is going to be embedded down into that motor, right? Down into that motor. And while we're talking about that, this is a thermal overload as well. Now, on the deluxe boxes, you're going to see this thermal overload actually on the box itself. But with the fractionals, the overload is not going to be in the box. You just got a start capacitor and a relay in there. But these will be also embedded into that motor so that we have that thermal overload protection. All right, going back to this standard box here, when we talk about it being compatible and interchangeable, there was a day at least when I first started, that these boxes were actually repaired, all right? They'd take this cover screw off the front of it. Let me get that out of there. And they would replace either the capacitor or the relay, all right? That was commonly done 40 years ago. Today, this thing gets thrown away, and the entire thing gets replaced. So it's not a repair so much when it comes to these control boxes as it is a replacement. So when it comes to replacing the box, you can replace the entire box in its entirety, right, front and back, but oftentimes all that's being replaced is the front cover because all your wiring is already done. And so when this box remains mounted to a wall or a post or whatever it's mounted to, and you've got your power cables coming in and your lines going out to your pump motor, oftentimes all that gets replaced is this cover. Now that said, I want you to know that this cover is fully interchangeable with the industry. This cover will fit anybody else's boxes, all right, this cover. So these are not brand specific. You don't have to have a Flint Walling pump and motor in order to have a Flint Walling control box run it. And this is, again, fully interchangeable with all the brands in the industry. I'm going to say this much, and this is an opinion, so I'm going to point it out that this is an opinion. But in my opinion, I have seen this cover fit other manufacturers' boxes better than their cover does. And that's very important because when you look inside these boxes, and I'm going to try to get a tight shot on this, Renee, what we're looking at are these spades here, right? These spade connectors all along here. They're very heavy and robust, and on this box here, all right? So that's why oftentimes it's just the cover that gets replaced because that connection is made internally right there with that. So. All right, let's move on and see what else we've got here, okay? Multi-size knockouts, right? So that's kind of cool. You've got different size knockouts here to bring in your power cables. So you've got a variety of sizes there. I think the terminal block, very, very well labeled. So you've got your L1, your L2, your yellow, black, green and red wire. Again, very well labeled right there on that terminal block. And I spoke of these rigid spades. They do need to be pretty robust because when you start slamming these covers back down on the controls itself, you don't want spade connections that are susceptible to perhaps bending and not making a connection. So the capacitor on the inside, the start capacitor here, along with that relay right below it. I'll tell you something about that relay, okay? When Flint Walling first introduced or launched their control boxes, it was the same year we launched our submersible motors, which was 2016, all right, 2016. And so in 2016, I took our control boxes to a water well show, a state water well show. And some of you have been to these type of places where all the vendors are there. They've got their goods on display. And I had a contractor walk in. I'm showing this control box for the very first time, along with the motor. But I had a contractor walk up to this control box, and I had it opened up just like you see it here, and it was laying on this table. And he took one look at this control box, and then he looked at me, and he said, "Well, I see you've done your homework." And I had no idea what this guy was talking about. And I said, in what way, sir? He said, "Well, I see you're using a voltage relay instead of that daggone solid state relay that it seems like everybody else is using." He said, "I'll tell you what, I had far less problems with that voltage relay than I do with these solid state relays that are out there today." So, hey, that's a contractor's remark. You know, I kind of took it as, I don't think he liked the voltage relay. All right, so that said, all F&W control boxes, these are going to have the voltage relay in it. I'll tell you one other little story real quick. I had a customer one time want to buy hundreds of these voltage relays, just the relays, hundreds of them. And I asked him, "What are you going to do with all those?" He said, "Well, I got another brand that this relay is going to fix their control boxes. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm not in the, the market to supply product to other companies, but hey, if you want to buy 200 of them, how about if I just put a big old F&W sticker right on the front of that thing, or stamp it with F&W? Then would you still buy them? Oh, well. Anyway, the voltage relay was something that is seems to be preferred by contractors, all right, by contractors. Okay. The control boxes are also compatible with these a variety of pump protections that are available. Right, this SimCom, that 231, that Insider, that's very, very popular pump protection that will in fact fit into the Flint Walling control boxes. And along with that, Franklin QD, that the Pump Tech, all right? Both of those are able to be able to be positioned inside these control boxes. In fact, I found this out that I think it's the SimCon, that pump saver there, yeah, or that pump protection. They actually put right inside of their instruction manual, you know, how to wire their protection. And you can see there's a variety of control boxes there. You got Franklin, you got Pentec, you got Centrapro, and of course down there you've also got Flint Walling. And they will show you within that instruction manual, when you turn to the page that's referencing the Flint Walling control box, it'll show you exactly how to wire that rascal in. Again, whether it's a half all the way up through a 1.5 horse box, okay? All right, inside the covers, both on the inside the covers. Well, I don't have the cover on the 1.5 horse here with me, but you can see it on the screen. But their wiring diagrams are in there, so it's, you know, very, very, it's right there, handy, very, very easy to read. So wiring diagrams will be inside both of the control boxes. And then we're going to move to this second category, all right? We're going to move, but that's the standard control boxes. And I think most of you are very, very familiar with the standard boxes. Give these a good look and give the price a good look, because I think that's what's causing these boxes to start flying off the shelves, is that I think these boxes are very, very competitive in price there. And they've got the features. I want to go to this, this deluxe box now. If you are going to purchase a control box from F&W that's either a 2 horsepower or above, and you can see there it goes to 3 and 5 horsepower, that will be, in fact, a deluxe box. All right, that's going to be a deluxe box. Now, what makes the deluxe box different than maybe a standard box? I'm going to kind of quickly go through some of these features because we've already done it once. Again, these are all going to be NEMA 3R enclosures, indoor or outdoor applications. The boxes are going to be powder coated, and again, that's a very durable finish that goes on the outside of these boxes. As we pointed out earlier, these are all going to be CSA rated and CSA listed. And when we look at the inside of the boxes now, all right, I want to look at the inside of the boxes because there's been some changes made here. This is a 1.5 horse standard control box, all right? This is a 1.5 horse standard control box. What I want to point out here is where that voltage relay is located. I'm going to try to turn this just slightly so you can see that voltage relay mounted on the back side wall of this box there. See it back there? Not too tough to get to. Not too difficult to get to. And again, this is a standard box. And there again, you can see that terminal block very, very well labeled there. All right. Now I want to show you what Flint Walling has done with the deluxe boxes. Because with the deluxe boxes, getting back to that relay was almost impossible because of all the wiring you have back there. All right. So trying to get back to that relay to ever replace it. And by the way, capacitors, run capacitors, start capacitors, contactors, whatever the components are on a deluxe box, they'll typically still repair those today versus replace the entire box because of the cost. But that voltage relay was always something that was really tough to get to. So Flint Walling moved it to the front.
You can say that again, Dan?
Just a few technical difficulties we're working through. Hopefully the mic's coming back and the cameras may be coming back. So.
It's not charging, I think.
The mic back. You can let them know now. We'll just have to keep off with that main camera and then just use the zoom, I think.
Do you have the camera back now?
No, it's just all.
Okay.
We'll just use what we got.
Well, here, let me just adjust this.
Are they able to see what I'm seeing on this screen here?
Yeah, they can see.
Okay. All right. Well, there. I like that. I like that shot right there. So there, down here is this voltage relay that we're talking about, right up here in front, right? Am I being recorded and they're hearing me? Okay. And that thing used to be in the back. But what I want to show you is on the what we've done to the bottom of this box is we moved those overloads to the back, meaning there's your reset buttons back there all the way to the back. But by putting these into the back side here, we were able to free up this real estate up here in the front. So I put that voltage relay up there. Okay. So I think that's a good improvement to this box. Over if you go look at a competitor's deluxe box and you try to figure out how you're going to get a screwdriver all the way back through all that wiring, all that cable to try to get into where you can unscrew the bracket that holds that relay in place, it's a challenge. It's not easy to do. Now it's very, very easy to do. All right. So there again, you can see it right there front and center. This box has a 3-hole mounting pattern to it so that you can center mount this thing on a post if you want. You can mount it on a wall. So it's going to have that. Let's see if I can advance these slides some more.
We got a question here for you as well.
Okay. All right. I guess we got a question. Let's go ahead and see if we can answer it.
Yep, we got a question from Tony. I get questions on what the voltage and wire should read when hooked up. The red, yellow, and black wire going out top the motor. So what should the wires read when hooked up?
Okay, so if I understand the question, once this box is wired in and it's got power, we're wanting to know what these wires read. I assume we're talking about resistance values in the wire cable. If you're going to do, maybe, I don't know if this is answering Tony's question or not, but if you're going to test, if you're going to do any testing of the motor and control box and the pump and motors in the well, you would reference a kind of a motor application guide to determine what that winding resistance will be when voltage.
Yeah.
When it comes to voltage, all right. So okay. So when it comes to voltage, all right. Here's the one thing I can tell you about control boxes when it comes to voltage. First of all, if a box is wired for most of them are going to be 230 volt, right? Short of that half horsepower, you can get that also in a 115 configuration, but most of them are going to be in 230 volt. And when you look at the 230 volt, you can go plus or minus 10% above or below that threshold, all right? That threshold. If you have a box that starts, and I've had people comment to this. I have a contractor come up, he said, but man, he said, your control box is chattering. What do you mean it's chattering? He said, well, that relay in there, he said, it just chatters back and forth, chatters back and forth. And he didn't know what caused that. Well, I do. I'll tell you what causes that. In some parts of the U.S., I've heard people describe geographic areas of having like dirty voltage, all right, dirty voltage. So maybe that's a term you're familiar with. But when that voltage starts to drop low, all right, if you have a 230 volt box and you drop that voltage down to 200, that box, you're going to start chattering. You drop it below that, it's really going to start chattering. And so typically when you get that chattering going on, it's an indication that you've got low voltage going into that box to begin with. Up at the top is a start capacitor. And then you've got the 2 run capacitors next to it. These are all going to be domestic, made in the USA capacitors here, which is something that Flint Walling makes every attempt to do. Okay, so there's the start and run capacitors at the top. This 3-pole contactor right here, all right, that's going to be a 3-pole magnetic contactor right here. That's going to be part of it. That's also CSA listed, and it's going to be matched. Obviously, it's going to be matched to whatever the motor rating is going to be. And again, the terminal block, and this is important because, you know, you got to, having well-labeled terminal blocks, I think, is pretty important. This will accept number 6 wire, and there's a whole lot of hand space there. When you take that cover off, you've got a whole lot of hand space right there to wire that box up. All right, very, very easy to wire that up. Okie dokie. In addition to that, we've got the multiple size knockouts, and I'm going to just use this here. You can see on the bottom side here, there's a couple size knockouts there. So multiple sizes down at the bottom. And let's see what else we've got. I talked about this. There you go. That's the multiple knockouts. Here's a good look at those thermal overload reset buttons that used to set up in the front of the control box, and we moved them to the back so that we could bring that relay back to the front. But that's where your reset buttons are. There you go. That's what we did to them. We moved them from the front all the way to the back, and that gave us that ability to put that relay right there in the front. Okay? So when we look at these boxes, here's kind of the industry norm here. I've taken some images of some other manufacturers' boxes, and only to show that when you bury that voltage relay in the very back of that box, it's not an easy component to try to get out, because you've got so much on deluxe boxes. You've got so much cable running in behind that terminal block. You can see it in those images up there. So by having it out front there, to me, that just it makes a lot of sense. No one had any heartburn over it, moving those reset buttons to the back. No one seemed to be concerned about having to reach another 2 inches underneath that box. These it's got mechanical grounds on them. Again, very high quality, robust ground lugs. Coming down to the end of this, about half hour in, I guess. Sorry about the little glitch that we had earlier, but take a look at these boxes. These boxes, again, you've got 1/2 through 1.5 standard boxes, and then you've got the 2, the 3, and the 5 horsepower deluxe boxes. Check those boxes out. They're fully interchangeable with every brand. Look at the price the price points that are on these deluxe boxes once, because I think what you're going to find is that these deluxe boxes oftentimes can be priced very, very close to what somebody else might have as far as a standard box. These were designed to be competitive, and so I think we've achieved that. Now we just need to look into it and let everybody else see that as well. I hope that we got something out of today's little session. This was on, again, these control boxes. These are manufactured in-house with our own division. So that all said, any other questions, Renee, that come in? And Tony, I'm not sure if I got your question answered. Maybe I didn't understand it fully. Put it in the form of an email, and I'll respond back the same way, and maybe we can connect that way if we didn't connect earlier. So with that all said, I guess
we have a code word?
Oh, sorry about that. Renee reminded me the code word. The code word is contactor. All right, contactor right here. So that's going to be the code word for the day, contactor. Write that down somewhere and email it in to us, and you get rewarded for those things. All right.
A question here about chattering. You know about control box chattering?
Yeah, control box chattering. I talked about that just a few minutes ago. What will happen, it's the relay that'll start to chatter, all right? It's these relays here, all right? We talked about these voltage relays. They will start to chatter when the voltage begins to drop. So if you have a 230 volt rated box And we're giving you a 10% plus or minus that, right? Plus or minus that. So that's your range that the voltage can be in. But you start to drop below that range, you'll start to get chattering in that relay. And the further you drop below that range, the more chattering you're going to get in that relay. So the thing to look for when you get chattering in a relay is that voltage, to see if that voltage isn't, like I said, in some parts of the country they call it dirty voltage. And I'm not sure why, but that's a lot of times what they're alluding to is voltage drops. So that's going to cause the chatter. All right, anything else?
Nope, that's all I see.
All right. Well, with that, I guess, appreciate you being on and look forward to another topic on another day. And
Check
if you
out our past videos as well.
and check, yes, there's a whole library of these videos out there on a whole bunch of products. So check them out. We're also going to be doing more of these. So hit that bell. All right, hit that bell so that when we do, you'll get a notification and can sit in on one of these live streams. Short of that, wish everybody a good day, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.